I want to go up to the Capitol Hill for the Republican perspective on all this. Congresswoman Lisa McClain, a Republican from the state of Michigan, is on the House Oversight Committee. She was in the room today for the impeachment inquiry hearing. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us here on the Hill on NewsNation. Appreciate the time. You, of course, were in the hearing earlier today up on the Hill just a little while ago. I want to start with Jonathan Turley, one of the key witnesses in the hearing today, and get your reaction on the other side.
I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. They're merely allegations, and they should not become presumptions of impeachable conduct.
He essentially, Congresswoman, said at this point in time that there is some smoke, but not necessarily fire. Is that how you view it?
I understand why he said that at the beginning, and that's exactly why we're doing this investigation, right? Is to follow the evidence and to get the facts, which we're actually beginning to lay out today. So no different than any trial, you start with a presumption, and then you build upon that with facts, with forensic evidence to get to an end result. And that's exactly what is happening today with bank records, with shell companies, with text messages and WhatsApps. That's exactly what the committee today, at least on the Republican side, is laying out. And I think the evidence actually is pretty damning.
You say it's pretty damning. Do you have your mind made up at this point? Or are you open to the possibility that maybe the president didn't commit a high crime or misdemeanor?
Well, I'm open to following the evidence. So you can't go in with a preconceived notion, right? I do believe in the rule of law. I do believe in that due process. That's exactly what we're doing. But we can't ignore the evidence. We can't just brush it away and pound our fist on the table like the Democrats do and say, well, look over here, look at Donald Trump, or look at this. No, let's look at the evidence. This is a culture of corruption. I know from what I testified in today that while Joe Biden was vice president, he was in Romania dealing with corruption. I also know that while Joe Biden was vice president, his son, Hunter Biden, was employed by a corrupt Russian oligarch. Interesting, right? I also know that at that time, he made 16 payments while Joe Biden was vice president and did some influence peddling, right? I also know that the minute Joe Biden stopped being vice president, coincidentally, those payments stopped. Now, what we have to connect the dots to, which is what we're doing the investigation, is what happened with those payments. We know those payments, one, went to Joe Biden's residence, and two, to 9 of his different family members through 20 fake companies.
You talk about connecting the dots. The White House is essentially connecting the dots to the potential government shutdown. And here's part of their response today as all of this was unfolding. They say, quote, the consequences for the American people will be very damaging, from lost jobs to troops working without pay. They go on to say nothing can distract from that. What would you say to the White House in their response today?
Well, I would say it's a shame that the White House can't do both. It's an and, right? I think we as professionals, we can do both. But if you're really concerned about the shutdown, then come to the table and let's secure the border. Let's get our fiscal house in order, which is exactly what the Republicans are trying to do. But again, if I'm the White House, I don't want to talk about all the corruption that's going on within my family. I want to deter and detract from what's going on with my son and President Biden's culture of corruption. Exactly. I would want to say, look over here, look over here. Don't look at the facts that we have. Don't look at the SARS reports. Don't look at the 1023s. Don't look at the suspicious activities. Don't look at the text messages from my own son.
Both sides essentially saying,
because I don't want you to uncover.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.